Hey y'all, so today is Monday. This is my Real Housewives of Potomac review. Hopefully I'll get it out tonight, we'll see. Now this episode is a supersized episode and they're tacking on an extra 15 minutes. And after watching it last night, I totally approve. This episode was shady as it was chaotic, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So let's get into the episode. Ooh, so we start this episode out at Gizelle's unfinished $900,000 barn, and she's pulling up in this tacky Gucci-inspired Mini Cooper. Oh, my bad. This is her daughter pulling up in this tacky Gucci-inspired Mini Cooper. It looks like her driving skills has not improved, unfortunately, but I'm praying for her. Ooh, her house is a mess. I would not let any camera crew come to my house looking like this on the outside. Lord. So she's telling us that the repairs are nowhere near done. How does she walk into the house? Maybe she comes in from that west wing because this is a safety hazard. Like, even for the cameramen in production. So Gizelle really gonna have an event at this unfinished house. Well, an event in front of her unfinished house. So she's talking to Robin on FaceTime and she's organizing an event for their new podcast, Reasonably Shady. She plans on inviting all the women, including Karen and Wendy. I'm just wondering, how come Robin couldn't have it at her residence? Maybe it's not big enough, or maybe she just can't host the ladies? I'm not sure, but it would have made much more sense to save Gizelle the embarrassment and just have it at Robin's. But like Gizelle, she has a fetish for embarrassment. Gizelle seems to not have gotten over her beef with Wendy and Karen. She's telling Robin that they are not allowed inside her house, not even to use the bathroom. And shockingly, Robin is not with this idea and telling Gizelle that it's not cool, do not do that. I'm shocked. Robin even says she won't even do the event. So Gizelle obliges and said they can come in. So next scene we're with the Grande Dame, and we see that her new candles, her 3-wick candles, have arrived. So it's called a Home Essentials Luxury Kit. She's very excited. She wants to share it with all the ladies, including her arch nemesis, Gizelle. And again, we're at the discussion of the candle comparisons. Now, Karen, you're being shady right now. Like, basically you're saying your candle is better because it's 3-wick, not one like Wendy's. I can see she's saying it's two different things, but it's the same damn product, okay? And you're basically saying yours is better. Now, even though she's being shady, at least she got that candle out quick, fast, and in a hurry. I mean, Wendy don't even know how much she want to price her candle. She don't even know why she wants to release a candle. Like, even Mia put her candle out before Wendy. Wait a minute, so Karen and Ray are in the backyard, and Ray gets like a spam call from a young lady saying, "Good morning, handsome." He's like, wait a minute. As soon as he puts his glasses on, she snatches the phone out of his hand. And she calls this number back. Now, is Ray and his alleged broken penis stepping out on Karen? So Karen leaves a message and says, "This is Mrs. Ray Huger. We're currently planning our 25-year anniversary." This was a strange scene. Now, she doesn't think anything of it, but I mean, is Ray on these sites that's sending him stuff? Because there are sites like that. Wow, so they just go to the next scene. I guess this isn't worth investigating. And next scene we're with Candiace, who, thank God, she's with her mom, and I don't have to fast forward it. So they're discussing how Candiace's music video went, and she tells us that her mom has been there for 9 days, and she's ready for her to get the hell out. So then Candiace asks her mom, what were her and Mia talking about? Because she was alerted by Wendy saying that Mia was asking, does Chris get paid or not? And Miss Dorothy says she doesn't remember. And production reminds us that Miss Dorothy was talking to everybody, not just Mia. And it seems Miss Dorothy's defending Mia. She said it wasn't coming from a place of malice. It seems like Candiace is more mad at Mia than her mom. And then also she's putting all this blame on Mia, but Gizelle and Robin were still asking for information as well. So it seems like Mia is the scapegoat right now. Oh, and now we have Chris entering the scene. And like I said, thankfully with Candiace's scene, she needs Chris and her mom to make it interesting. So Candiace is telling Chris what was being said, and he says that people don't understand their relationship, and the only contract between them is their marriage certificate and their prenup. And then her mom interjects and says, well, managers usually have a contract and it can cause legal problems down the road. And she's right. Like, what if they get a divorce and, Candiace makes a little something from her little play music career or something? Chris can go after that because he was a significant role in it. There was no type of legal contract there. So her mom has a point. Now, Chris says, I have never asked Candiace for a penny, and then he turns to Miss Dorothy. I've never asked you for a penny. You have not paid Nan bill with my name on it. Oh! And he shut Miss Dorothy right on up. You go, Chris. And that is how you handle the shady mother respectfully. I gotta admit, Candiace's confessionals this season, they're pretty funny. She says Mia needs to go back and crack backs at that chiropractor stripper LLC or something. That was funny. I'll give it to her. For all the Candiace lovers watching, I do give her props when they're due. Next scene, we're with Mia and her family going out to get ice cream. It's her husband, her 3 kids, and her estranged mom. What I get from this scene is basically Mia's trying to maintain a consistent relationship with her mom, but her mom isn't necessarily putting forth the effort that Mia is. And then Mia is telling her some things that she wants to change, and she's bringing to light how she treats her sister as opposed to her. We find out from Mia in her confessional that her mom was actually incarcerated, then afterwards she went to rehab, then she got out and lived with her sister. Production wanted all the tea. They wanted to know what she went to jail for, how recently she got out, and for once Mia doesn't want to disclose all that information, which I think she shouldn't. I think she said her mom got out of prison maybe 6 or 7 years ago, then went to rehab, but she didn't tell us what she went to jail for. But anywho, her mom reassures her that going forward she's going to make the effort to maintain a relationship between the two of them. Next scene, we're at Wendy's residence and Karen is coming over to visit. Just seeing this scene, they have really come a long way from Wendy's first season. So of course they're having a discussion about Karen's candles that are releasing. It seems like Wendy's being a good sport and doesn't think that Karen stole her idea. But Karen seems like she's very supportive of Wendy too. She said that both of them can have candles. She did leave out the fact that hers is 3 wicks and Wendy's is 1. I don't know if it's production, but the reactions that Wendy's having towards Karen is a little shady. But after the candle talk, the real reason Wendy invited Karen over is to help her out stuffing some bags for charity for school supplies. Also, we have a scholar in this scene too. I swear every time I see her, and I'm gonna say this all the time, that her style is everything. Soon as she walked in Wendy's place, she was like, you didn't tell me you was in Canada. Yes, because Wendy is 45 minutes north of Potomac. I tell that to people in New York who live in Inwood. Like, I'm not going to Canada. I'm sorry. Shout out to the people in Inwood. And finally, we get some background on the scholar. Like, okay, so she's married, has 2 kids. Looks like she recently had a baby, like a 2-month-old or a 4-month-old. I definitely see her as a fabulous replacement for Robin. I really see a scholar as like a Cynthia type, where she gets along with everybody, but it's a don't start none, won't be none type situation. So I'm watching them stuff the bags, and I think Wendy could have got her kids and her husband to help her out. This looked like maybe 30 bags they stuff, and it's not like hundreds. So now the topic of conversation is Candiace's video shoot, and they're talking about how messy Mia was. Of course, the scholar and Wendy, they think it's extremely inappropriate that Mia did that. Also, it looks like all the ladies got their invites to Gizelle and Robin's event. Wendy looks like she's on the fence of going because of what's written on the invite. It says, invite friends and haters to a reasonably shady celebration. I mean, the name of the podcast is Reasonably Shady. I mean, of course the invitation is going to be shady as well. And personally, if I was on the show, I wouldn't say no to being in the scene just because somebody I don't like is in it. No, I'm gonna get all this camera time. So the invite says the event's gonna be at Hotel Gizelle. And Wendy says, who decorating the hotel? I hope it's not her. I mean, Giselle's tackiness is a reputation that precedes itself. So after they finish stuffing the bags, Wendy wants to organize a little group trip. She's thinking of renting a big house along the shore for all the ladies as well as their husbands. So they're gonna do a couples trip, which is a good idea because I think everyone has a spouse except for Gizelle. So then Wendy is listing off all the ladies' spouses who she think will come. She then asks Karen, does she think Juan will come? I mean, she says no, but of course not. We know Karen wanted to say that, but she says no. And Wendy's being shady. They then ask her, who do you think Gizelle can bring? And she said her luggage. Her luggage. Next scene is the day of Gizelle and Robin's event, and we are 30 minutes in, so they are giving us 45 minutes of this scene, so you know it's gonna be good. And production, they start now shady already. And they just zoom in on the construction. Dirt, caution signs, it is a mess in the front of her house. I can't believe she's having it. And this sad little tent with balloons. Oh my God, this is so low budget. This is worse than Candiace's video shoot. The wind is blowing away the balloons. This is just sad. This is so sad. And the front of her house looks atrocious. Like, why? Why, Gizelle? I will say though, Gizelle looks nice in this outfit. But unfortunately, she has a boot on to go with her pink croc on the other foot. She had a foot injury recently, so she has to have that on for a week. Gizelle says she has a fabulous tent. Now, I'm gonna lean over a little bit and show y'all this fabulous tent that she has. Right, exactly. Moving on. She also says she has a charcuterie for the ladies. Oh, okay. And man, at least she didn't call it charcuterie. Production and these sound effects. Womp womp, wow. As the poster falls flat on the ground. Now, I did say I like Gizelle's outfit, but let's get to Robin's. This snakeskin blazer short combination, I don't like it. It's a little tacky for me. So Ashley's the first to arrive, and you can hear her screaming from her car because she hasn't been to Gizelle's house in 2 seasons. And she remembers Gizelle's place when it was just a barn. And she says she loves it? Honestly, looking at the before picture of Gizelle's house, it doesn't look that bad as it does now. It just looks so gaudy and atrocious from the outside. She could have at least built the front part before the west wing. So they have a conversation before the other ladies get there, and all you hear is construction in the background, the trucks moving, equipment being shuffled around. It is a mess. So then Mia arrives, and of course she's like, what is this? What? She then says, no valet? Not hotel Gizelle, motel Gizelle. High five, Mia. A scholar arrives looking fabulous. Now, she does tell Gizelle, oh, you giving Diana Ross. Gizelle said, oh, I was thinking I was going for Beyonce. Gizelle is giving a Normani. And that's no shade. It's just, you know, we gonna go down a few calibers. All you hear is hammers going off in the background. I'm just wondering still, why didn't Robin have this event at her house? Or maybe they could have just rented a space. So Wendy arrives now looking puzzled and confused at the surroundings. Robin greets her and it looks like everything is good between them. For now. So Karen arrives. She's like, what the hell? There's a tent in the back with their COVID testing? It really does look like a COVID testing site. It's so frustrating that every time Karen says the word candle, we get a zoom in to Wendy's face. Karen lets the other ladies know she just got the second shot of the vaccine the other day, and she's just feeling a little strange, but she's okay. I will say though, after you get the second shot, your arm does hurt like fuck. But anyway, all the ladies have arrived with the exception of Candiace. She's very late. So Gizelle and Robin go ahead and tell the ladies that they're starting a podcast together. So then Robin and Gizelle tell the ladies about the process of planning this event and how it should go. And for some reason, Gizelle says that she didn't want to invite some of the ladies in her house. Why would you tell them that? Like, she literally just said, Karen and Wendy, I didn't want to invite you in my house at first. Like, they started already. There was no reason to disclose that information to them. Then Wendy says, well, I wasn't going to come, so that's interesting. So then Gizelle tries to turn on Wendy and says, well, why weren't you going to come? And Wendy's like, well, you just said you wasn't going to allow me in your bathroom. And then Gizelle gives the reason that, well, you talked about my house. I think Wendy didn't talk about her house. Actually, it was Candiace that talked about your house, Gizelle. But yet she's allowed in. And you know production will call Wendy out if she said it, and production didn't have no footage. Even Karen was like, maybe it was me. So Wendy was like, no, I didn't talk about your home. I talked about the way you dress. So then production takes us back to the season 5 reunion when Wendy told Gizelle she has pretty girl syndrome, where, you know, she's just so pretty. She could get away with wearing anything, and she can't. So now Gizelle started this whole argument for nothing. And now it looks like they're just sparring back and forth. Gizelle says she's gonna put Wendy on the hater list. Wendy says, I'm hating on this, and then they show us her house. Wendy is getting her together with the shade. So now Robin asked Wendy why wasn't she gonna come, and she said, well, the invite was shady. And the Green Eyed Bandits was saying, well, it's called Reasonably Shady. I don't know, it seems like Gizelle and Robin keep trying to gaslight Wendy and no one is calling it out. Ooh, the conversation is a little nice nasty between Gizelle and Wendy right now. They're going back and forth. Wendy is like, well, how am I supposed to know the context of that invitation? And then Gizelle brings up her new party and we didn't know the context of that. Then Wendy's like, well, I'm fucking here, okay? So then they move the party along into playing games. Oh my God, Robin. Oh, so it feels like you're taking it personal now. Shut up. So after that sparring of shade between Gizelle and Wendy, the ladies take a little break and disperse a little bit. Like you have Robin and Ashley getting a drink, and then you have Karen and Mia going off to the side. And Karen's being a friend and giving her a heads up that Wendy and the Sky was talking about how shady she was going up to Candiace's mother asking about Chris. Mia again says there was no malice in that and Wendy needs to mind her business. So now the ladies are back under that COVID testing tent and Wendy looks so pressed and bothered right now. She's trying to be composed. And now the game begins and then they pass out these paddles to all the ladies with Reasonably on one side and Shady on the other. So they're going to list off a bunch of situations and the ladies have to vote either Reasonably or Shady. So the first shady question is it okay to hold onto a grudge even after an apology was made? And of course, Wendy and Karen are like, that's reasonable because Gizelle is consistently shady, so I'm gonna continue my grudge because your apology didn't mean jack shit. At least they laughing at it and keeping it cute. And now we see that Candiace has finally arrived. And then they go into the next shady question, which is talking behind a friend's back reasonable or shady? So now they're discussing the context of it. And again, I'm not sure why, but Gizelle brings up the Eddie situation and it was out of concern. She calls it reasonable. Then she takes this moment to do another dig at Wendy, saying that it was shady of her to go up to Candiace at the video shoot and tell Candiace what Mia said. And then she actually tells Wendy that that was whack of her. And Wendy is standing her ground and saying it wasn't shady, she was just being a good friend. Now, what do y'all think? Because a lot of people was telling me that it wasn't shady of Wendy to do that. I'm kind of on the fence with that because one, like if that's your friend, I would tell her after she's done being stressed out. Like you saw how stressed out she was when those cars didn't come. Like why would you want to blow the situation up with her being angry at Mia? I would have waited to tell her after all this was done. I wouldn't have told her during the video shoot. But also, I don't think it was shady on Wendy's part. She was just telling her out of concern, but it was just the wrong time to tell her that. Lord, so they getting into it again. And where is Candiace? They just showed her walking down the driveway. And as soon as I talk about Candiace, they show Candiace tipping down the driveway in those ugly heels. Like, why is one mismatched than the other? And did she wear that at a previous reunion? Those shoes look familiar. I don't like them at all. Like, she's tipping down the driveway like... So as Candiace is still trying to make her way to the tent, you have all the ladies just hollering at each other. It's chaotic. And then you have Karen who says she's feeling kind of dizzy, maybe because of the vaccine. So now wacky ass production is like blurring the ladies, distorting their voices, playing this snake charming music. They even go as far as adding a psychedelic tinge to the title card before commercial break. At this point, I was hollering. So we're back from commercial break and they still have Candiace tipping down this fucking driveway. Poor Karen, she's just trying to keep it all together as these ladies are hollering at each other now. So Candiace finally gets to the other ladies. She says hello to everybody and then they fill her in on the game they're playing. As far as the music video situation, Candiace says that Wendy was being a friend. She wasn't being whack. So I guess now that Candiace didn't mind what Wendy did, it shouldn't matter at this point. They should stop talking about it. And then we even saw in the last episode that even though Candiace had that information about what Mia said, it still didn't shake her up too much for the video shoot. Robin is now getting frustrated and louder at Wendy trying to make her point. Like the situation is moot. It also had nothing to do with her, so I'm not sure why she's getting hot right now. So Wendy is trying to make a point to Robin and Mia interjects and says she's making it about her. And I think she tapped her shoulder by accident. Then Wendy completely dismisses her and says, please don't touch my shoulder. They're sitting right next to each other, but I'm relieved it didn't escalate. So now Candiace takes this time to address Mia about the situation. Wait a minute, where did Candiace hear that Mia was talking about her titties? We missed that part. Mia really thinks that what she did was not shady at all. I mean, she could at least cop to the fact that she was being messy. I don't care for Candiace, but Mia did start this situation. So as Candiace is kind of going off on Mia, Mia's telling her that, well, I wanted to show up to your event, but no one was there to greet me. There was no one in charge. I couldn't tell who your manager was. And I was curious. I mean, the event was just so low budget. To which Candiace says, your mama low budget. Let's start there. How did we get to mamas though? Like she could have said, your surgery is low budget or something, but you have to go to her mama? And then Candiace took to Twitter and said that she didn't know about her mom. But I actually re-quoted Candiace and says, I don't think it would have mattered to her if she knew about her mom's situation. Because she knew about Ashley being pregnant, she still called her wide. So what's the difference? But I just think again that Candiace's reads always resort to something problematic or low-hanging fruit. Now according to the Candiace lovers, if you don't like a bitch, then anything goes. And I'm saying, well, if anything goes, you better have the hands to back it up. How about that? Even Gizelle says it's below the belt. Talk about her big feet or hands. I don't think Mia's hands are that big, do y'all? And what are they implying that she has big hands and big feet? See, I don't like that. But anyway, again, there's so many other things to get Mia for. You don't have to resort to her mom. It was very Dr. Heavenly to me. And I gotta hand it to Messy Mia. Even though she kind of starts some of this drama, the ladies be going under the belt when it comes to her, but she's not fazed by it, and I like that about her. It's probably because she's heard it all before. So as Candiace is telling Mia, supporting her is not going to her mom asking about her finances, Ashley interjects and says, well, you've kind of made it common knowledge to everybody, which Candiace responds, were you there, beloved? Ashley's like, well, no, but, and she's like, then good night, shut up. She kind of got you, Ashley, but I can see Ashley's point too. Like, you made it known to all these women that your mama be paying your bills and you don't do nothing about it. You be acting spoiled. So if somebody wants to use that against you as a read, then it's fair game. And Lord, here we go with Ashley versus Candiace, round 10. And here we go with the wide face read. Lord, come with the new one, Candiace. You got the cameras being shady. You got the sounds of the hammers, the women yelling. It's insane right now. So now Candiace asks the group, who else has something to say? And then Gizelle quickly throws Karen under the bus. And I'm glad Wendy shut that shit down and told her, now how you gonna bring up Karen before mentioning yourself talking to Candiace's mom? And then Gizelle cops to the fact that she wanted to know, but she didn't ask the question. And now I wonder how come Candiace didn't keep that same energy with the Green-Eyed Bandits as she did for Mia and Ashley. I honestly think it's a power play on Candiace's part to stay on the show, because she already doesn't get along with Ashley. That's one OG. She's kind of cool with Karen, but she already told her she don't trust her. But then if she's not cool with Karen and Gizelle, then that means, easily Mia can take her spot. And I think she knows that. Like, she still wants to make sure she maintains a friendship with at least 2 OGs on the show. All I'm saying to Candiace is, we see you. She don't even like Gizelle and Robin like that. And to be honest, I don't even think they like her like that. But back to the music video question. You got Robin the guard dog, ruff, ruff, just defending Gizelle like she always do, saying that there was nothing wrong with wanting to know if Chris was on payroll. Because now she's comparing it to her and Juan's situation. I was on Juan's payroll, so there's nothing wrong with if Chris was on your payroll. Now, Robin knows the shade of Chris being on Candiace's payroll. They already think the man don't have a job and is riding Candiace's coattails. Of course, that's just another thing they can use, so I can see why Candiace would be bothered by that question. Look at me taking up for Candiace. Well, Candiace makes it known that she doesn't like talking about money, and she especially doesn't like when people she don't fuck with ask about her money to her family members. We hear Candiace saying to me she doesn't appreciate her calling her event low budget. Then we see Gizelle saying under her breath, well, it was in a parking lot. Now, the nerve of Gizelle to call anybody's shit low budget when she has this COVID testing tent right outside her unfinished house. Candiace then tells me, when these hoes was talking about you behind your back, I defended your ass. Karen is like, hoes? Candiace tells her next time, even though I don't think she can afford another music video, to not come. And Mia's like, okay. Like, there's definitely a line now being drawn in the sand with Mia and Candiace. So then the ladies continue playing this shady, chaotic game, and the next question involves drunk-ass Karen telling the truth. And thankfully no one is getting offended by this, and they just laughing and kikiing about it. Gizelle then says she loves being around vaccinated Karen, as if being vaccinated is comparable to being drunk. Woof. And then we get to the last question, which is the most shadiest and most unnecessary to me, and I wrote it down just to make sure I get it right. Is it reasonable or shady to be concerned about drastic changes to your friend's appearance after cheating rumors about their husband emerges? Now come on. Seriously, why don't they just ask the question about Wendy? This is so pointed. Like, I don't blame Wendy for going off on the both of them. Like, for real, they didn't bring it up once, but twice. And I would be very careful if I was Robin or Gizelle to bring up Eddie again while Wendy's holding that paddle in her hand. Gizelle, of course, thinks that question is reasonable. And then Wendy just fires back and says, well, you know, I think it would be reasonable too if that same blog said that you had an STD. Ooh. Ooh. Wendy is not having it. And again, we fall into an argument of whether it was shady or not. And then Wendy brings up that she knows that she was the topic of conversation at Robin's birthday dinner she wasn't invited to. I wonder who told her. I'm pretty sure it was a scholar. So they're going back and forth now, and Robin's telling Wendy to chill, and Wendy calls it out that Robin's telling her to chill and stop being aggressive. And we know what road that's going down. Wrong road. Wrong road. So then Robin is getting heated, and then Candiace, while trying to break it up, she just starts singing. Whoa! Then we cut to Karen losing, and then production is warping the screen again, and then intensifying Candiace's singing. Like, this is off the rails, chaotic. Like, I was dying last night when I saw this. Robin has had it with Wendy and says she's being an asshole right now. They're going back and forth. Then Wendy says, do not yell at me, I am not your child. I do notice how they keep trying to paint Wendy as aggressive because she's calmly saying her point, especially now. She again tells all the ladies that y'all all had my number, and if anybody had a question about her and Eddie, they could have simply called her one-on-one to ask. After that, Gizelle says she's still confused, but Wendy tells her, I didn't say shit to your ass, and it wasn't for your ass to receive. I said what I said. To which then Gizelle says, okay, Wendy, you can leave. Because Gizelle says she will not be disrespected in her house. And then I'm like, technically they're not in your house, but you could have said I will not be disrespected on my property. But shout out to Karen for bringing it out and saying, whose house are we in? We're not in your house, we on public property. Are they though, Karen? I mean, did you see the deed? I still think that this is Gizelle's property at least. A scholar then comes to Wendy's defense and tells Robin and Gizelle that, well, y'all are asking really offensive questions, so y'all really can't blame her how she's reacting. Then Mia pipes up and is like, who is she, the mediator? A scholar then goes off on Mia. I'm like, okay, here we go. A scholar then tells Mia that she needs to sit down and shut up with her hoe ass. Now, one, that was a weak read. I mean, calling Mia a hoe, low-hanging fruit, y'all know how I feel about that. And two, a scholar coming for the new girl when she's just a friend. I mean, it really doesn't give you any brownie points for staying on the show. Ask that to LaToya from Atlanta. Like, Sutton, when she came for Teddy, boss shit. Marlo, like since season 4, coming for Candy, boss shit. That's how you get promoted. But anyway, Mia is unbothered. Karen looks like she's over and she tells the group, I just got vaccinated and I ain't come here for y'all to be yelling at each other. Everyone's like, vaccinated? You mean vaccinated? She's like, whatever, my arm is hurting. Yeah, mom looked like she need to lie down and she's done filming for today. Production then puts in more special effects for Karen's vaccination. And then Karen just had enough because she's ready to go. She then yells at Wendy, Wendy, I need to know, you're going to invite everybody to the girls' trip because I think we need it. Now, Karen does apologize to Wendy, but Wendy doesn't take any offense to it because she blames it on the vaccination. Now, Karen apologizes to Wendy, but Wendy doesn't take any offense and she just blames it on the vaccination too. So then Wendy lets all the ladies know about the trip, where it's going to be, that all the spouses are invited. And she invites everybody, but shades Gizelle and Robin in the process. And honestly, Robin and Gizelle shouldn't be mad because, I mean, the theme of the event is reasonably shady. So they're basically having a dose of their own medicine. But damn, Wendy was ready. And even though Wendy kind of rehearsed this shade in front of Ascali and Karen, I'll allow it. But when she did tell Gizelle all she's bringing is her luggage, she did kind of mess up on that. So I was kind of disappointed. Gizelle then tells her, thanks for the invite. Now you can leave. Thankfully, Karen's ready to go too because that vaccination is kicking in, and Wendy just decides to go with her. Robin and Gizelle both make it known that they're not interested in going to Wendy's trip. So after this chaotic event, most of the ladies are leaving, but Candiace asks Gizelle for a tour of her house. We then see them going up towards the house. Ascali changes her mind and then says in her confessional that she'll wait until Gizelle has some sturdy steps and a door. Now see, Ascali, that is the shade that we want. And if you keep that up, we might see you for season 7. I gotta say, at this point in the episode, that extra 15 minutes they adding is everything. I am totally, completely enjoying this episode. Like, we got 5 minutes left and it's still chaotic because all the ladies that say they were ready to go, they can't go because Candiace blocked them in. So then we see Gizelle giving Candiace a tour of her tacky ass house. Karen tells the other ladies that Candiace blocked her in. They're telling her, oh yeah, just go up to the house, she's in there. Karen then says, her house ain't even finished. She don't even have a door yet. Karen is the MVP, I tell you. So then Robin calls Candiace to let her know that she's blocking everybody. Then Candiace has the bright idea to give Gizelle's daughter, who's practicing getting her license, to move her car for her. Gizelle then does a double take when Candiace does this, and I'm like, girl. Now I don't care for Candiace, but I still don't want to see this girl total her car. So Gizelle's daughter comes out and tells the ladies that she's going to be backing out for her. They was like, you're going to back it out? So thankfully, Robin goes in the car with her to help her back out. Lord, this child didn't even know it was a push start. I'm getting nervous just watching this. So she definitely scraped the wheel trying to back out. She's like, what was that? Robin says nothing. So all the ladies finally leave. We hear Robin and Gizelle again state that they have no intention of going to Wendy's trip. And then we see Candiace getting back to her car, noticing that her wheel is scraped. Then we see her yelling out to Gizelle, and that is where the episode ends. Wow, this episode was everything. Like, this reminded me of old Real Housewives of Atlanta, like seasons 4 through 6. This was chaotic as it was shady. I'm sure, please let me know if y'all enjoyed the episode as much as I did. And it's so crazy, like, you know it was a good scene because Gizelle's event started at the 30-minute mark. This scene lasted 45 minutes and I enjoyed every minute of it. Also with the arguments, like, I found myself not knowing whose side to be on. Even though, you know, I don't like Gizelle or Robin or I don't like Candiace, like, I kind of found myself seeing their points as well. And then let's talk about the dynamic now. So now, with events going forward, if Ashley has an event, I'm pretty sure Candiace isn't invited. If Mia has an event, then Candiace isn't invited. If Gizelle or Robin have an event, then Wendy or Karen aren't invited. And if Karen and Wendy have an event, then the Green-Eyed Bandits just aren't gonna come. Like, I feel there's more arguments and less resolving. So now we have a line drawn in the sand. And it's just gonna be more and more difficult to have all the ladies film together. And finally, let's talk about the preview, which we know is the salad toss episode. It really sucks though that Gizelle and Robin refused to come to Wendy's trip because it would have been nice to see everybody, especially Juan, you know, since Gizelle is technically the only person without a spouse. But yeah, please get in the comments and let me know your thoughts on this episode. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Hopefully I can have this out tonight. Hopefully. If not, y'all gonna see this on Tuesday. But anywho, I'll see y'all later. Bye.